we have cosecant minus secant over secant times cosecant equals cosine minus sine. Right? And so we're just going to bring up the same equation. So cosecant minus secant over secant times cosecant. And we're going to break these complex trig functions into simpler ones. So all we got to do is just flip them over. So we're going to end up with one sine, one cosine, one cosine, one cosine. And we're going to want a common denominator on the top so we can combine these since there is a subtraction. So if we times the left by cosine over cosine and the right by sine over sine, we would end up with this. So we would end up with cosine over cosine sine and sine over cosine sine. And since we have a common denominator, we can combine them. So we just do this. So we're going to have cosine minus sine over cosine sine. So we still have this denominator here. So we can combine these to have 1 over sine cosine. Well, 1 over cosine sine. And from there, we can see that we have the main equation here. We need to get rid of this denominator here. The best way to do that is to time this denominator, time this whole thing by the denominator's reciprocal. So if you times this equation by cosine sine over 1, you'll see that since we have a cosine sine in the bottom denominator here and a cosine sine in the numerator here, these two cancel out, leaving cosine sine over 1. And that's the same as saying cosine minus sine. And that's our equation.
Voila.